A young couple is living together and finishing their graduate studies. One of them arrives home to a horrific scene. For nearly 50 years, the case flies under the radar of the media and investigators until a compassionate journalist decides the victim should never be forgotten. My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the true crime author of close to 50 books. I've dedicated the past 26 years of my life to helping families of the missing and murdered. Join me next for this Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps shortcut. You know how sometimes a song gets stuck in your head and you cannot stop singing it to yourself? There is no one among us this has not happened to. There you are going about your day, singing silently in your brain a song by the Ramones or Journey or U2 or whatever band you're into. It seems to come out of nowhere and chime in the background of your day on a repeated loop. I read that the reason we do this is rather simple. You have heard part of that song at some point that day, but you did not hear the entire song. So with the song being so familiar to your brain, which remembers it completely, your brain wants to finish it. And so you are stuck with the song in your head. Not sure if that is accurate or the reason why, but it sounds logical enough to me. On a more serious note, I think part of the need we all have for wanting to see cold cases resolved, beyond, of course, getting the victim's family answers so they don't have to wonder any longer, along with justice being served where justice is deserved, is that humans crave resolution. Unfinished business, especially where murder is concerned, is not okay with us. We want to see the person responsible for such a horror brought to justice and pay a debt. Give the family the peace they so much deserve. In many of the cases we cover here on Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps, shortcuts, 3, 4, 5, even 6 decades might go by before a murder is resolved. I'm not comparing murder to a song stuck in your head. Don't get me wrong here. That is not my purpose, so no hating. I will tie a bow around this comparison by the end of the episode, and it will make more sense. I promise. That all said, 25-year-old Julie Revsin is one of those young women with everything going for her in March 1980. A Philadelphia, Pennsylvania native, in 1978, Julie graduated from Lake Erie College in nearby Painesville, Ohio, but is now living in downtown Philly as she pursues her graduate studies. In high school, Julie had been a popular girl, a cheerleader, and a standout in the student choir. She is striking in a girl-next-door type of way, with long, flowing, thick, dark brown hair, easy and alluring brown eyes, and what was said to be a tribal tattoo on her lower back. She is in her second year at Penn State's Annenberg School for Communication, heading towards a master's in communications. Julie lives on Osage Avenue in the El Vista section of Philly in the West End with her boyfriend, himself a Penn State graduate. They seem to have carved out what is their own little slice of a good life in what is then a very dangerous neighborhood. This building Julie and her boyfriend live in has been experiencing an uptick in criminal activity lately. According to a report by NBC News, tenants and journalists looking into crime specifically targeted towards this particular apartment complex reported a terrible lack of security, i.e., broken chain locks on apartment doors, broken intercom systems, the back doors into the complex left unlocked, and an overall lack of concern by the complex management about these issues. Essentially, criminals have been given an open invitation to conduct their nasty business inside the building, robbing people and apartments, beating people up, and all else that goes with the animals given the opportunity to run the zoo. What's more, rapes, assaults, and burglaries are skyrocketing in the neighborhood at the time. I think it would be negligent not to say that overall, the United States in 1980 was grappling with a significant spike in crime rates across the board. Homicide, for one, hit a record high that year at 10.2 murders per 100,000 people. To put that into perspective, today we have less than half at 4.0 homicides per 100,000 people. That's a big difference. More than double the homicide in 1980 than there is today, with more people, of course, in the country now than back then. On that March 21st, 1980 day, it's 3:15 p.m., daylight. Julie's boyfriend is getting home and walking in the door of their apartment from having spent the afternoon playing basketball with several classmates and friends at Gimbel Gymnasium on campus. Walking in, the first thing the boyfriend sees is the woman he loves on the floor, blood all around her, a knife lying by her side. The report released by the coroner later says Julie was, quote, slashed, beaten, and stabbed. A horrific scene. As investigators land on the crime scene and begin to take a look, the first thing they notice is that nobody had broken in. There is no sign that the door was kicked in or the lock tampered with or broken. This could obviously mean that Julie knew her attacker, an early speculation by investigators that they begin to focus on. Yet, if you go there immediately, it takes someone maybe following Julie and forcing himself into her apartment as she arrives home off the table. Remember, this apartment complex was beyond poorly secured, and there was no sense of urgency to do anything about fixing the issue, so anyone could come and go at will in and out of the place. Investigators then begin canvassing, knocking on nearby doors, those apartments closest to where Julie and her boyfriend lived. Nobody heard a thing, they all claim. Again, this could mean many things, one of which being that old, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, I don't want to be involved mentality investigators run into in rougher neighborhoods. Witnesses essentially living in fear that if they say something, they will be next. There is another issue surrounding the idea of getting people to come forward. As journalist and Penn State alumni Matthew Algeo writes in the Daily Pennsylvanian in 2025, under a plea to reopen, reinvestigate, and test any of the DNA they collected from Julie's crime scene, on that same day Julie was murdered, one of the biggest crime stories in Philadelphia's history began to unfold on the other side of town. And that murder garnered all the press and media coverage, in turn pushing Julie's homicide out of the public spotlight and out of the minds of law enforcement and Philly residents. I will get into that iconic true crime story and update where Julie's case is now when we come back. Let's take our only break of the episode and return to conclude this Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps shortcut. Stick with me. There's lots more to come. On March 22, 1980, the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer referred to him as, quote, the Don of the nation's fourth largest city and the mob chief of the southern half of New Jersey. His name? Angelo Bruno. Bruno was 69 years old. As he sat in his car outside his South Philadelphia home, Bruno was shot in the head. A hit said to be ordered by a rival mafia boss over drug trafficking turf and greed. That murder took place about 7 hours after Julie's at 10 p.m. But the story dominated the papers and TV media the following day and for weeks afterward. Bruno's killer used a .410 bore shotgun fired behind the Don's right ear, which killed him instantly. Classic mafia hit. This murder and another one connected to the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia mafia a year later, a guy by the name of Philip Chicken Man Testa, were said to have spawned some 30 additional murders in the years to come as a mafia war ensued. Those mafia murders, writer Matthew Algeo so astutely pointed out in 2025, overshadowed Julie's case and sent it to the cold case freezer. In effect, all the resources the police department had at the time went towards trying to keep the peace among warring mafia families in the region, as well as trying to solve the murders. This stifled any serious investigation into Julie's murder, which is incredibly heartbreaking. Because with some early investigation and old-school shoe leather police work, Julie's case probably could have been solved rather quickly. Julie was, her family has said recently, fun, calm, and outgoing. Pictures of her display Julie's charm and expressive character. She was a joy to be around. You know, I'll say this. Some people in photos just kind of blend into their surroundings. They stare into the lens with a shallow effect, and it's obvious they are not thrilled to be getting their picture taken. Then there are people like Julie who come alive, take control of the photo, and jump off the paper the picture is printed on. Despite pleas from her family and the savagery involved in her murder, Julie's case fell to the wayside. Julie's boyfriend had a rock-solid alibi and had nothing whatsoever to do with her murder. That is perfectly clear from the evidence, so I want to put that out there. With that being said, please, internet, capital I plead with you, do not get on the blame the boyfriend bandwagon as this case heats up again. He did not do this. Be certain of that. Investigators during the first few days before Julie's case was pushed to the side didn't see it that way, however. Julie's boyfriend, in a recent interview with NBC News, spoke of being bullied in those hours after Julie was killed. They sped him away from the crime scene in a police cruiser and sat the guy down in an interview room. As the boyfriend told it, quote, "They really tried to break me down." He described how one detective was slamming the table with his hand, yelling at him, "I know you did this." That was par for the course back then. Get yourself a suspect and just lay into the guy until you get him to confess. The biggest problem they faced, however, was that Julie's boyfriend had 20 witnesses to back up his whereabouts at the time of the murder, that basketball game. The coroner claims there was no evidence of rape, though Julie was found with only half her clothes on. The knife was left at the scene, and with the brutality of the murder and it being 1980, my guess is if her killer wasn't wearing a hazmat suit and they collected forensic and trace evidence from the scene in a relatively professional manner, there should be DNA and other trace evidence to put into the databases and utilize genetic forensic genealogy to find her killer. Julie did have a former boyfriend, and the guy was not happy about her ending the relationship. A suspect never looked into, far as I can tell. Then there's this, which is significant in my backseat investigator manner of thinking. Julie's boyfriend told NBC that a few months before Julie was murdered, he woke up one morning, walked into the kitchen of the apartment, and in front of him, someone had come in while he was sleeping and spread all of the knives on the living room floor. The boyfriend told the landlord what happened, and the guy did absolutely nothing. The boyfriend never heard anything from the police about it. Again, putting on my backseat investigator driving gloves, I'd say that was some sort of message. perhaps, maybe by an obsessed, raging, rejected person who had been told he was no longer part of someone's life. Just saying. Many of the people closest to Julie at the time, family and friends, recall that investigators never followed up with them after initially asking a few questions. This investigation, if you want to even call it that, never produced a person of interest. My theory on that is they stopped investigating after the boyfriend was cleared and the mafia business took over. In 2025, that same reporter I mentioned earlier, Matthew Algeo, began seriously looking into Julie's murder, searching for any information he could find. There wasn't much, he says, so he did what he could, which was write that piece about her in the Daily Pennsylvanian. But he didn't stop there. Next, Algeo initiated a Change.org petition, hoping that it would help to reopen Julie's case and involve technology to see if they could make a run at it today. After talking to Algeo and hearing his pleas, NBC News began asking the Philadelphia Police Department and local prosecutor's office if anything was happening with Julie's case today and if the department had any of that evidence from back in the day and what they were planning on doing. They declined to be interviewed by NBC, citing that old open case excuse, which is just a way for them to save face. They released a standard statement to NBC saying the homicide unit was reviewing the case for any misleads and trying to determine if modern forensic testing could be applied to any previously collected evidence. It seems the system forgot about Julie Revsin, and her case was filed into the cooler and left there. If not for her boyfriend at the time, her family, and a curious, caring reporter out there asking questions and demanding information, nobody would have heard about this murder. Julie would have been forgotten. Let's hope the Philadelphia police get Julie's song stuck in their heads, and it haunts them into truly coming clean about what they have and what they can do today so that this family can get the answers they have been waiting on for almost 50 years. Head over to patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps and sign up for my free content page where I'll be interacting with you, doing live streams, posting exclusive content. That's patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. That's it for this Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps shortcut. Be safe, be aware, be alert. Sources for this episode include Matthew Algeo, Through the Cracks, A Murder Mystery, September 3rd, 2025, The Daily Pennsylvanian. University of Pennsylvania graduate student Julie Revsin's homicide has remained cold since 1980, by Annalise Peterson, March 21st, 2026, NBC News. Various other newspaper reports from 1980 and beyond. Crossing the Line is executive produced by M. William Phelps, LLC, and Matthew Valentinus, Mom's Basement Management. Written by me, M. William Phelps. Audio mastering and mixing by Matt Russell. Music by Epidemic Sound. Original music written and performed by Thomas Mooney, Tom Phelps, and Matt Russell.